It's very interesting. We spent almost 20 years in school memorizing formulas, dates, and definitions, but no one taught us how to handle failure, how to manage our mind, or how to stay peaceful when life doesn't go according to plan. Stay with me till the end, because the last lessons may quietly change the way you look at your entire life. Dear friends, if you are feeling confused, pressured, or slightly lost right now, let me tell you something very honestly. You are not broken. You are simply human. School taught us how to make a living, but life expects us to learn how to live. And most of us only realize this when the exams are over, the degrees are framed, and suddenly real life says, "Now it's your turn." You step into the world with ambition in one hand and fear in the other. You want success, but you also want peace. You want growth, but you're afraid of falling behind. Today, let me walk with you through 7 life lessons, not as a teacher, but as a fellow traveler. Lessons that were never part of the syllabus, yet decide the quality of our entire journey. And trust me, if you think the first few lessons are important, please don't miss the last ones. They contain the heart of transformation. Most of us grow up believing that a number can define us. From a very young age, we are trained to associate our worth with grades, ranks, and results. A child comes home with a report card, and before anyone asks how they feel, the first question is, "How much did you score?" Slowly, very quietly, a dangerous belief settles in the heart. I am only valuable when I perform well. School never questions this idea. In fact, it reinforces it again and again. But life has a very different way of revealing the truth. When you step out into the real world, you begin to notice something unsettling. Some people who are average in studies are doing exceptionally well, not just financially but emotionally. They are confident, adaptable, and grounded. And at the same time, you meet people who were academic stars, yet they are constantly anxious, afraid of making mistakes, and unsure of their own identity. That's when the first crack appears in the old belief. You start realizing that marks may measure memory, but they never measure meaning. They may reflect effort at one stage of life, but they never define destiny. Your worth was never meant to be calculated. Each human being carries a unique combination of strengths, sensitivities, creativity, and perspective. Some people are logical thinkers, some are deep listeners, some bring calm into a room without saying much, some bring courage, some bring compassion. None of these qualities ever appear on a report card, yet these are the very qualities that hold families together, build communities, and change lives. When we reduce ourselves to comparison, we shrink our own potential. The moment you say, "They are better than me," or "I am behind everyone else," you stop listening to your inner calling and start chasing borrowed definitions of success. Comparison doesn't inspire growth. It breeds insecurity, and insecurity is exhausting. You are constantly running, but you don't know where you're going because the finish line keeps moving depending on who you are comparing yourself with. Life teaches us something far more liberating. You don't have to be better than someone else to be good enough. You only have to be aligned with who you are meant to become. When you understand this, pressure slowly transforms into purpose. You stop asking, "How do I prove myself?" and start asking, "How do I improve myself?" And that small shift changes everything. Growth becomes joyful instead of stressful. Effort becomes meaningful instead of fearful. You begin to learn not to impress, but to express your potential. This lesson also heals a deep emotional wound many people carry, the wound of feeling less than. So many adults still live with childhood labels echoing in their minds: average, slow, weak, not good enough. These labels were never truths, they were moments misunderstood. When you release them, you reclaim your inner confidence. You stop waiting for validation and start living from self-respect. Life doesn't reward those who never fall behind. Life supports those who keep moving forward with sincerity. Some people start early, some start late, some take detours. But what matters is not the speed, it's the direction and the intention. The most peaceful people are not those who achieved everything early, they are those who stopped attaching their self-worth to external applause. They learn to appreciate effort, character, and consistency. They learn that success is not about proving value but about expressing it. And here's the quiet truth school never told us. When you stop obsessing over how you are seen, you finally start becoming who you are meant to be. This realization prepares the heart for the next lesson, because once you stop defining yourself by numbers, you become strong enough to face something even more misunderstood in life: failure. Once you detach your worth from numbers and labels, life introduces you to something it uses very lovingly but very firmly: failure. School trained us to fear it. One wrong answer felt like a verdict. One low score felt like a judgment on our intelligence. Slowly, failure became something to hide, something to feel ashamed of, something that meant you are not good enough. But life has a very different intention. In real life, failure is not an enemy. It is a messenger. It arrives not to insult you but to instruct you. Yet because we were never taught how to interpret it, we panic the moment it appears. We start questioning ourselves, our abilities, even our future. And sometimes we don't fear failure itself. We fear what people will think if we fail. Here's the truth most people realize only after years of struggle: failure is not the opposite of success. Giving up is. Every meaningful journey includes moments where things don't work out, plans collapse, expectations break, doors close without explanation. And in those moments, life is not saying you are finished. Life is asking, are you willing to grow? Failure has a strange way of stripping away arrogance and replacing it with awareness. When things go well, the ego grows quietly. We start believing it's all because of us. But when things fall apart, we are forced to reflect. We slow down, we listen, we reassess. And in that pause, wisdom begins to develop. Think about it. Some of the strongest people you admire today are not strong because they never failed. They are strong because they failed, felt the pain fully, and still chose to stand up without becoming bitter. That's the real victory. Failure teaches patience. It teaches humility. It teaches resilience. But only if we stop running away from it. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they lack emotional endurance. They want quick results, instant validation, and continuous success. Life doesn't work like that. Growth is uneven, progress is messy, and maturity is built slowly, one setback at a time. There is also something deeply purifying about failure. It shows you who truly supports you and who was only there for the applause. It shows you which dreams are borrowed and which ones are truly yours. It forces you to ask better questions, not why me, but what now, and what can I learn? When you begin to see failure as feedback instead of punishment, your relationship with life changes. You stop seeing challenges as personal attacks and start seeing them as training grounds. And this perspective gives you courage, not the loud kind, but the quiet kind that says, I may fall again, but I won't stop walking. Failure also teaches compassion. When you've tasted disappointment, you become gentler with others. You stop judging quickly, you start understanding deeply, and that empathy makes you richer than any external success ever could. Here's a subtle but powerful full realization. Success can make you impressive, but failure makes you relatable. And relatability is what builds trust, leadership, and connection. The real danger is not failing. The real danger is allowing failure to define you instead of refine you. The moment you say, I failed, therefore I am a failure, you collapse an experience into an identity. Life never intended that. You are not your worst moment. You are the awareness that can learn from it. When you accept this, you stop fearing mistakes. You take conscious risks. You grow faster, not because you win every time, but because you learn every time. And once you stop being afraid of failure, something remarkable happens. You gain the courage to look inward. You start noticing not just what happens to you, but how you respond to it. That awareness naturally leads us to the next lesson, perhaps one of the most neglected skills in modern life: learning how to understand and manage the mind. Once you stop being defined by marks, and once you stop being terrified of failure, life gently turns your attention inward, to the one place school never prepared you for: the mind. No one ever sat us down and said, one day your biggest challenge will not be the world outside, but the thoughts inside your own head. We were taught how to solve equations, but not how to calm ourselves when anxiety takes over at night. We were taught how to speak in public, but not how to speak kindly to ourselves in private. And so many intelligent, capable people walk around exhausted, not because life is too hard, but because their mind is too loud. The mind is powerful. It can imagine, create, and innovate, but without awareness, it can also worry, exaggerate, and sabotage. Left untrained, the mind doesn't protect you. It overwhelms you. It constantly revisits the past or anxiously predicts the future, pulling you away from the only place life actually happens, the present moment. Most stress does not come from reality, it comes from resistance to reality. You notice this clearly during difficult moments. Two people can face the same situation. One collapses emotionally, the other remains composed. The difference is not intelligence or strength, the difference is inner management. One reacts, the other responds. A reactive mind is like a storm. A responsive mind is like an anchor. Managing the mind does not mean suppressing thoughts or emotions. It means observing them without being controlled by them. You learn to notice anger without becoming angry. You notice fear without letting it paralyze you. This space between stimulus and response, that space is freedom. And here's something deeply comforting. Peace is not something you chase outside. It is something you cultivate within. No achievement, relationship, or possession can permanently calm an agitated mind. Only understanding can. Many people believe peace will come after success, after everything settles down. But life doesn't work in sequence like that. Peace is not a reward at the end of the journey. Peace is the way you travel. A disciplined mind doesn't mean a dull life. In fact, it creates a joyful one. When your thoughts are clear, your decisions are better. When your emotions are balanced, your relationships improve. When your attention is anchored, even ordinary moments feel meaningful. The mind also has a habit of comparison, e-play, and overanalysis. It magnifies small problems and minimizes big blessings. That's why gratitude and awareness are such powerful practices. They retrain the mind to see clearly instead of constantly complaining. Another thing school never told us: your mind believes what you repeatedly tell it. If you constantly speak doubt, fear, and self-criticism, the mind accepts it as truth. But when you consciously choose patience, kindness, and perspective, the mind slowly aligns. You don't fight the mind. You befriend it. And this friendship is built through small, consistent practices: silence, reflection, prayer, journaling, mindful breathing, or simply sitting without distraction for a few minutes each day. These are not spiritual luxuries, they are emotional necessities. When the mind becomes calm, something beautiful happens. You start seeing people clearly. You stop projecting your unrest onto others. You listen more. You judge less. And that inner stability naturally improves the quality of your connections. Which brings us effortlessly to the next realization. Life is not just about personal success or inner peace. It is also about how we relate, connect, and love. As the mind becomes calmer and awareness deepens, life starts shifting your attention outward towards people. And that's when you realize something school never emphasized enough. Achievements may impress, but relationships sustain. In our education system, success is often portrayed as a solo journey. Compete, outperform, stand out, be number one. Slowly, without realizing it, we begin to treat people as milestones rather than companions. But life has a very soft way of correcting this illusion. Because no matter how successful you become, you still return home to conversations, not certificates. You still crave understanding, not applause. And when things fall apart, and they will at some point, it is not your resume that holds your hand. It is people. Relationships are not built on brilliance. They are built on presence. Many people invest years sharpening their intellect, but forget to nurture their heart. They know how to speak convincingly, but not how to listen sincerely. They know how to argue logically, but not how to forgive gracefully. And slowly, without noticing, they win debates but lose bonds. Life teaches us that emotional intelligence matters just as much as intellectual intelligence. The ability to sit with someone in silence, the courage to apologize without defending yourself, the humility to accept feedback without ego. These skills are never graded, yet they determine the depth of your happiness. Another truth we discover with time: people remember how you made them feel long after they forget what you said or achieved. Kindness leaves a deeper imprint than competence. Respect lasts longer than recognition. Relationships also teach patience. People will disappoint you. They will misunderstand you. Sometimes they will hurt you without realizing it. And sometimes unintentionally you will do the same. The question is not whether conflict will arise, it's how you handle it. Love is not the absence of friction. Love is the willingness to work through it. When you stop expecting perfection from people and start appreciating effort, relationships become lighter. You allow others to be human. And in that acceptance, you also allow yourself to be human. School rarely taught us the art of communication, how to express emotions without accusation, how to disagree without disrespect, how to set boundaries without bitterness. Yet these skills protect relationships more than any achievement ever could. There's also a quiet lesson about time here. We assume people will always be there. Parents, friends, mentors, we think will call later, visit someday, express love eventually. Life gently reminds us that later is not guaranteed. Presence is. The deepest regret people carry is rarely about missed opportunities. It's about missed connections. When you begin to prioritize relationships, success starts feeling different. You stop chasing it at the cost of others. You grow, but you don't grow alone. You rise, but you lift others along the way. And that kind of success feels lighter, warmer, and far more fulfilling. And here's something subtle but powerful. Relationships also mirror you. The way you treat people reflects how you treat yourself. When you become kinder inwardly, you become gentler outwardly. As you nurture relationships, life slowly introduces another essential truth. While love and connection are vital, growth ultimately demands responsibility. Because caring deeply is beautiful, but taking charge of your own life is transformative. As relationships mature and awareness deepens, life places a mirror in front of you and asks a difficult but liberating question. Are you willing to take responsibility for your life? School trained us to look outward. Teachers, parents, systems, circumstances. Someone was always in charge. Someone else decided the syllabus, the schedule, the evaluation. But life removes the T structure and gently says, "Now it's your turn." Responsibility is often misunderstood. Many people hear the word and feel pressure, blame, or burden. But true responsibility is not about guilt, it's about power. The moment you accept responsibility, you reclaim your ability to respond wisely instead of reacting emotionally. Blame is comfortable. Responsibility is courageous. When something goes wrong, the mind instinctively looks for an external cause. The economy, the upbringing, the timing, the people, the system. And yes, circumstances do influence us, but they do not imprison us unless we allow them to. The danger of blame is not that it's always false, but that it keeps us passive. It gives temporary emotional relief while quietly stealing long-term growth. Responsibility does the opposite. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but it restores dignity. When you say, "This is my life and I choose how I respond," you move from being a victim of circumstances to a participant in your own evolution. Life does not ask you to control everything. It asks you to take ownership of what is in your control. Your effort, your attitude, your choices, your values. This shift changes how you experience challenges. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is this teaching me?" And that question alone transforms pain into progress. Responsibility also deepens maturity. You stop waiting for motivation and start cultivating discipline. You stop depending on approval and start acting from inner conviction. You realize that consistency matters more than intensity and character matters more than comfort. There's a beautiful strength that comes from accountability. When you accept responsibility for your mistakes, you don't become smaller, you become lighter. There is no energy wasted on excuses, no time lost in justification, just clarity and forward movement. This lesson is especially powerful in relationships. When you stop trying to change others and start working on yourself, dynamics naturally improve. Responsibility does not mean tolerating disrespect. It means responding consciously rather than reacting impulsively. Even emotionally, responsibility is freeing. You stop saying, "They made me angry," and start saying, "I allowed myself to get angry." That doesn't mean suppressing emotions, it means understanding them. And understanding leads to mastery. Life also teaches us that no one is coming to save us in the way we imagine. Support may come, guidance may appear, grace may intervene, but the inner work is ours. And that realization, while sobering, is empowering. Responsibility is where self-respect is born. When you take responsibility, you become reliable to yourself first. You keep promises you make to yourself. You show up even when it's uncomfortable. And slowly trust builds, not just in the eyes of others, but within your own heart. This lesson prepares you for something softer, yet equally transformative. Because once you stop blaming and start owning your journey, you begin to notice how much you already have. And that awareness gently opens the door to gratitude, not as a concept, but as a way of living. Once responsibility replaces blame, your eyes begin to open to something quietly powerful. Gratitude, not the kind you express only when everything is going well, but the kind that exists even when life is imperfect. School taught us how to chase more, achieve more, demand more. But life gently teaches us that appreciation changes the quality of what we already have. Gratitude is not denial. It does not ignore pain or difficulty. It simply refuses to let pain define the entire story. Most dissatisfaction in life doesn't come from lack. It comes from constant comparison. We look at what others have, where others are, how fast others are moving. And in doing so, we overlook the countless ways life is already supporting us. Gratitude brings the mind back to balance. It reminds us that while something may be missing, something meaningful is still present. A grateful heart is a grounded heart. When you practice gratitude, the mind slowly stops obsessing over scarcity and starts recognizing abundance. Not necessarily material abundance, but emotional and experiential richness. The breath you didn't have to earn, the people who care quietly, the lessons that shaped you, the strength that carried you through moments you thought you wouldn't survive. Gratitude also transforms ambition. It doesn't reduce your desire to grow, it purifies it. Instead of chasing success out of insecurity, you pursue growth out of purpose. You move forward not because you feel incomplete, but because you feel inspired. There is deep peace in appreciating the present while still working toward the future. Another gift of gratitude is emotional resilience. When challenges arise, gratitude becomes an anchor. It doesn't remove the storm, but it keeps you steady within it. You stop asking, "Why is this happening?" and start noticing what is still holding me together. Gratitude also improves relationships. When you acknowledge people instead of taking them for granted, bonds deepen naturally. Appreciation softens egos. It creates warmth. And it invites reciprocity without demand. Many people express gratitude silently and assume others know. But spoken gratitude has a different power. A simple thank you, sincere and present, can heal misunderstandings and strengthen trust. Gratitude even changes how you view yourself. You stop seeing only flaws and start recognizing effort. You stop focusing only on mistakes and start honoring progress. Self-appreciation builds confidence without arrogance. One of the most beautiful aspects of gratitude is how quickly it shifts perspective. A difficult day doesn't disappear, but it no longer feels unbearable. A slow phase doesn't end, but it stops feeling meaningless. Life feels lighter when appreciation becomes a habit. Gratitude also connects us to something higher than ourselves. It humbles the ego and awakens reverence. You realize you are part of something vast, supported by forces seen and unseen. And that awareness brings trust, not blind optimism but calm faith. When gratitude becomes a way of life, contentment follows. And contentment is not stagnation. It is inner stability. This inner stability prepares the soul for the final lesson, the one that gives direction to everything else. Because awareness, responsibility, discipline, relationships, and gratitude all ask the same question in the end: why are you living the way you are living? Life was never meant to be lived accidentally. You are not here just to survive, earn, consume, and repeat. You are here to grow in awareness, to love more deeply, and to serve in your own unique way. When life is connected to faith, not blind belief but trusting surrender, fear slowly loosens its grip. You realize that you are not carrying life alone. Every sincere effort is seen. Every honest intention is supported. Even delays are preparing you, not denying you. Purpose is not found by running faster. It is revealed when your actions align with your values and your heart aligns with something higher than ego. When you live with faith, discipline becomes devotion, responsibility becomes service, gratitude becomes prayer, and then success changes its meaning. It is no longer about how much you accumulate, but how much peace you carry. It is no longer about how loudly the world applauds you, but how quietly your conscience smiles. So live consciously, choose wisely, serve sincerely. Because when you put God first, fear naturally takes the last place. And remember this timeless truth: A life lived with awareness, gratitude, and faith is never wasted. It becomes a blessing for you and for everyone you touch. At some point in life, every sincere human being pauses and wonders, is this all there is? You achieve something you once prayed for, yet the happiness fades quicker than expected. You reach a milestone, but the restlessness quietly returns. And in that moment, life is not disappointing you. It is awakening you, because life was never meant to be a checklist of achievements. It was meant to be a journey of alignment. Faith begins where control ends. Faith does not mean that everything will go according to your plan. It means you trust that even when things don't make sense, they are still moving with meaning. Faith teaches you to do your part sincerely and then let go of anxiety about outcomes. You work hard, you act honestly, you give your best, and then you surrender the results with humility. That surrender is not weakness, it is deep inner strength. When faith enters life, fear slowly loses its authority. You still feel nervous sometimes, you still feel uncertain, but fear no longer decides your actions. You stop living defensively and start living purposefully. You stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if this is shaping me? Purpose is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet consistency. Sometimes it is choosing integrity when no one is watching. Sometimes it is kindness when bitterness would be easier. A purpose-driven life does not guarantee comfort, but it guarantees meaning. And meaning gives strength even in discomfort. When your life is connected to something higher than ego, your struggles stop feeling personal. You realize that challenges are not punishments, they are preparations. Delays are not denials, they are refinements. And setbacks are not endings, they are redirections. This understanding changes how you wake up every morning. You no longer wake up asking, how do I impress the world today? You wake up asking, how can I grow today? How can I serve today? How can I live with sincerity today? And slowly, your days begin to feel fuller, even if they are not perfect. Faith also softens ambition. It removes desperation from desire. You still want to succeed, but you no longer sacrifice peace for progress. You still dream, but you don't destroy yourself chasing them. You understand that a calm mind and a clean heart are also forms of success. One of the greatest illusions school never challenged is the belief that success comes first and peace comes later. Life teaches us the opposite. Peace comes first. Success follows in the right form. When you live with faith, you stop measuring life only in achievements and start measuring it in alignment. Are your actions matching your values? Is your growth making you kinder? Is your progress deepening your awareness? Because if success makes you arrogant, it costs too much. If achievement disconnects you from people, it is incomplete. If ambition steals your gratitude, it is unbalanced. Faith brings balance. It reminds you that you are a steward, not the owner. That talents are responsibilities. That time is sacred. And that every interaction is an opportunity to leave someone lighter than you found them. A faith-driven life also teaches patience. You stop rushing your evolution. You trust timing. You understand that flowers don't bloom faster when pulled. Growth unfolds when nurtured consistently. And here's something deeply comforting. When your intentions are pure, you are never truly alone. Even when support is invisible, guidance is present. Even when answers are delayed, direction is forming. Life responds not just to effort but to awareness. So act with courage, but stay humble. Work hard, but stay grateful. Dream big, but stay grounded. Do not wait for life to become easy before you become conscious. Do not wait for clarity before you take responsibility. Do not wait for perfection before you begin. Begin with sincerity and trust the process. Because in the end, life will not ask how much you earned or how many applauded you. life will quietly ask, did you live with awareness? Did you grow in character? Did you love sincerely? Did you serve selflessly? And when you can answer yes, even imperfectly, your life becomes meaningful. Remember this timeless, faith-driven truth. When you put God at the center, confusion moves to the edges. When you live with purpose, fear loses its grip. And when you choose awareness over ego, your life itself becomes a prayer. So go forward, not in haste, but in trust. Live consciously, act responsibly, love deeply. Because a life aligned with faith is not just lived, it is fulfilled.